Hi, let's talk a little bit today about using the Bible and not using the Bible in theological discussions. Maybe you've been on social media, like on Facebook, and there's a theological discussion going, which, by the way, not the best place to discuss theological controversies. And that's why I usually refuse to do it. I tell people if you want to come and talk to me, you'll sit down, have a cup of coffee together, and I can talk. But Facebook is just not the best forum for that. But maybe you've seen this discussion going on, and then somebody in the comments will copy and paste a lengthy passage of Scripture 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 verses. And you read this, and I've had people do this to me where I've said things and then they'll quote Scripture and I'm like, okay, obviously I know those verses are in the Bible. What are you trying to tell me from those verses, right? What do you want me to know, okay? So the best thing to do is not simply to copy and paste a bunch of Scripture. The best thing to do is to use the Bible to support the points that you are making. So instead of just copying and pasting 6 verses of Scripture, maybe you can tell me what your point is and then quote the relevant part of a verse, not a lengthy passage. Or better yet, just give me your point and then give me the Bible verse reference in parentheses. Let me judge for myself if you're handling that verse accurately or not. You see, when you quote a passage of Scripture and you're coming from one theological tradition and somebody from a different theological tradition sees that passage of Scripture, what they take from that passage may not be what you take from that passage. So, for example, you're talking to a Roman Catholic and they mention the prayers of the saints. And they quote Revelation 5, which mentions the prayers of the saints. Obviously, what they think about the prayers of the saints is different from what a Protestant would think about the prayers of the saints, right? So if all you do is quote a verse and you don't draw out the connection between that verse and what you're trying to say, you really haven't done much good in doing that. So instead of just copying and pasting lengthy passages of Scripture or even a verse, just say what you mean. Just make your point. And then quote just a portion or just put the verse in parentheses and let them go look it up. And I'll leave aside any discussion of whether any of that is even any good on social media because people don't really pay attention to what you're saying on social media. But that's a lot better and more effective way to use the Bible in theological discussions than simply copying and pasting and assuming that the person on the other end is going to come away from that with the point that you intended. All right, go in peace.